Single dad veteran's daughter told the judge, "Free my dad, and I'll heal you," they mocked, until the courtroom was silent, except for the faint echo of a little girl's voice. "Your Honor," she said, standing on her tiptoes just to see over the wooden rail, "if you free my dad, I'll heal you." Everyone chuckled at first. The prosecutor smirked, the crowd murmured, and even the bailiff looked away, trying not to laugh. They thought it was just the innocent plea of a desperate child. But they had no idea who she really was, or what she had already survived. If you're watching this, don't scroll away. What happens next will shake your heart and remind you why love, loyalty, and faith still matter in this broken world. So stay till the end, and if this story moves you, hit that like button and subscribe, because stories like this, real, human stories, deserve to be heard. It all began months earlier. Staff Sergeant Daniel Cole was a decorated war veteran. A single dad. He had fought battles most people only saw in movies. But the hardest battle of his life wasn't on a foreign field, it was in his own hometown courtroom. Daniel had returned home after years of service overseas. His wife had left long ago, unable to handle the long deployments and the nightmares that came after. All Daniel had left was his little girl, Lila, 7 years old, bright as sunlight and gentle as rain. They lived in a small house near the edge of town, where Daniel worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. He never complained. He'd survived worse. But one cold night, after picking up Lila from school, something went terribly wrong. A man had collapsed on the street, a local official known for his corruption and cruelty. Daniel rushed to help, performing CPR until paramedics arrived. But when the man later died in the hospital, rumors spread. The same official had been under investigation for money laundering, and Daniel, who had argued with him months before about stolen veteran benefits, became the perfect scapegoat. The next thing he knew, Daniel was in handcuffs. The small-town media painted him as a violent veteran with anger issues. They ignored his service record. They ignored the medals. They ignored the truth. And as the trial began, Lila sat in the front row every single day. The prosecutor described Daniel like a threat to society. "He's dangerous," she said, pacing before the jury. Even his neighbors heard him yelling late at night. "This man shouldn't be trusted around anyone, let alone his daughter." Lila's little hands clenched. Those were nights her dad woke from nightmares, crying out for fallen brothers. He wasn't dangerous, he was broken. And she knew it. But she was too young to explain PTSD to the world. Too young to stand against the weight of the system. Still, she never stopped believing. On the last day of the trial, Daniel looked exhausted. His lawyer had done everything, but the evidence was thin and the politics were thick. The judge, a stern woman named Judge Marianne Hollis, seemed unmoved. When Daniel was asked to give his final statement, he simply said, "I've served this country my whole life. If helping a man who hated me is a crime, then I'll take the sentence. But I just want my little girl to know her dad tried to do what's right." The courtroom went silent. Then Lila stood up. She walked to the center aisle, her little sneakers squeaking on the tile floor. "Your Honor," she said, her voice trembling, "can I talk?" The judge hesitated, then nodded softly. Lila looked straight at her. "You're sick," she said quietly. The judge blinked. "Excuse me. My dad says sometimes people get sick in their hearts," Lila continued. "When they forget to believe in good people." Tears welled up in her eyes. "But I can heal you. If you free my dad, I'll heal you." The courtroom gasped. Someone laughed under their breath. The prosecutor muttered, "This is ridiculous." But Daniel's head dropped into his hands. Because he knew what his daughter meant. When Lila was 3, she had been in a terrible car accident. The doctors said she'd never walk again. Daniel refused to accept it. He stayed by her hospital bed for months, whispering encouragement, praying, and fighting insurance denials. Against all odds, she did walk again. She healed herself through faith, love, and sheer will. And now she believed she could heal others, especially hearts hardened by pain. Judge Hollis stared at her for a long moment. Something in the little girl's words cracked the armor she wore every day. No one knew, but she was secretly battling terminal cancer. Her illness was hidden from the public, buried behind her robes and rulings. She looked down at Lila, and for the first time in years, she felt tears sting her eyes. "Lila," she said softly, "what makes you think you can heal me?" Because love can fix anything, Lila said. My dad told me so. The judge leaned back. Silence filled the courtroom for what felt like an eternity. Then she spoke. Case dismissed, she whispered. The gavel hit the desk. The crowd erupted in shock. Daniel froze, unable to process what had just happened. The prosecutor shouted an objection, but the judge's voice overpowered it. This man risked his life for strangers. He deserves the benefit of the doubt, something this country owes him 10 times over. Lila ran into her father's arms, crying into his chest. Daniel held her close, whispering, "You did it, baby, you healed her heart." But that wasn't the end. Weeks later, Daniel received a letter in the mail. It was from Judge Hollis. Her handwriting was shaky but warm. Greater than, "Dear Lila and Daniel. I don't have much time left, but I want you to know, your words did heal me. Not my body, but my spirit. Thank you for reminding me what justice and compassion truly mean." Lila smiled through tears when her dad read it aloud. She pressed her little hand to her heart and whispered, "I told you love could fix anything." Months later, the local news ran a segment about a veteran who had been wrongfully accused and a judge who changed her verdict, and her life, because of a child's faith and goodness. That day, hundreds of letters poured in from people who had watched the story online. Veterans, single parents, even judges wrote that it reminded them to be kind again, to forgive, to see hope where they thought it was gone. And Lila. She started a little campaign with her dad called Hearts Heal Heroes, helping families of veterans find mental health support and encouragement. She didn't just heal one judge, she started healing the world. If this story touched your heart, don't leave without showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share this story with someone who needs to believe again. Because sometimes, one act of love can heal more than medicine ever could.